Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Culture Hour. I am your host, Shelley Smith, the founder of Premier Rapport, where everything is workplace culture related. Because remember, culture isn't built in a day, it's built every single day. Define it, build it, market it, and maintain it is way better than going into that costly repair mode. As I continue my series of interviewing owners, founders, presidents, CEOs, COOs, with an article that I had done a call out on for Forbes, I asked, what are you doing during COVID that is maybe different or even deeper or even more enhanced around workplace culture, training, and development? I'm happy to report that Kerry is one of the folks that actually tapped in and gave me some information. And so I invited her on to verbalize it for us. So let me give you a little bit about Kerry's background first. Kerry Wekelo, did I say that right again?
Yes.
All right. Kerry Wekelo is the COO of Actualize Consulting, a financial services consulting firm. Her book and her program, Culture Infusion, now you know why she's on, 9 principles of creating and maintaining a thriving organizational culture. In the latest book of Gratitude Infusion, which I love, and I talk a lot about gratitude as well, are the impetus behind the Actualize Consulting being named the top company culture by Entrepreneur Magazine, the top workplace by the Washington Post, and a great place to work certified. Congratulations, Kerry, on that. In her leadership, Kerry blends, her experiences as a consultant, an executive coach, an award-winning author, mindfulness expert, and entrepreneur. Kerry has been featured on ABC, NBC, NPR, the New York Times, Thrive Global, SHRM, and Forbes, and probably more by now, and now the Culture Hour. You guys might be wondering, why would I have somebody who's running in my same lane? Because I am not afraid of scarcity. I believe the more of us that are talking about workplace culture, that we're helping you figure out how to do that and how to get in and thrive. So Kerry, over to you. What in the bio did it not cover that you want to express before I throw some questions at you? Anything we missed?
You did a great job in the bio. I think the thing that stands out the most to me is the infusion of it, and I agree with you on being around like-minded people, and the more the merrier. And I, even in my new book, Gratitude Infusion, I have case studies of how other companies are infusing gratitude into their cultures as well. So I love what you're doing. So thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. So the questions that I asked you for the Forbes article was, the first pitch was, I wanted to talk to companies who are leaning in very intentionally to their workplace culture and even spending more on maybe specifically training and development or other things to really solidify, more pivot, infuse their culture. And you said, yes, we are. Why don't you tell us what you're doing, why you're doing, and some wins behind it?
Right. We were very fortunate that we had been a remote culture. We're a consulting company. We would go to clients as needed, but we were already set up to work remotely. So I was very grateful for that. And for the last 15 years, I've been very focused on how do we keep our team together. But what I went into was, okay, I really need to support everybody and during this unprecedented time. And so I started doing a weekly theme, bringing everybody together, encouraging people to use the video function. And it started out small. We were just doing happy hours with different themes. I was hosting all of them. And then I decided, well, let's have this really diverse. And so I'm a yoga teacher on the side. So I've done yoga, I've done mindfulness, I've brought in guests to teach how to handle challenges. Yesterday, we just did one on boosting your immune system as more things are opening up. I hired the DC Improv to do a show for us, a kumite, where there was a contest, we got to vote. We also did improv team building. And what I'm seeing now, we do a mid-year review, is in people's self-reflection, they're saying, I hope you don't stop doing all these events. I don't think I'm going to be doing them weekly, but I definitely will continue to do them monthly for sure.
I love that. You know, I hear more and more, well, probably for a decade, the improv piece behind it. You know, if you've never brought in somebody or taken any sort of an acting class, there's so many lessons learned when you go through an acting class or you go through a team building exercise of improv, just on a side note. So can you talk more specifically about the infusion portion and the gratitude portion? Because I think that that's probably exploding with some of the efforts that you're doing. So anything more you can kind of give tips or unpack it, or maybe some lessons?
I think with infusion, it's really layering and continuously showing your team members and your people that you care about them in a variety of ways. And that's why I use the word infusion. If you just do one event, you talk about it one time a year, it's not going to be effective. But if you're constantly focusing on your people, and we always say people first, and our people know that, like, that is our culture. That's why we've won the awards. All the awards we've won have been based on their surveys, right? So I think it's a constant and continuous and variety, because you're going to reach certain people for different things. I was surprised, like, I have some people that come to every single event each week, but then I've seen people rotating in based on what their likes are. So I think that's really, really important. With the gratitude piece, we have an annual retreat where we have offices in UK, Canada, and we have people all over the US. And it's my favorite time of year to bring us all together. And that got postponed. It might even be canceled for this year. And I had pulled together all this gratitude for our teams, and we were going to do this in person. I was like, okay, what can I do? So I actually ended up doing a video or audio for each person on our team,
Aw.
of why I was specifically grateful for them, also pulling in why others were grateful for them. And then in return, they ended up doing 2 videos for me. And I just wasn't even focused on me at all. But it's really, the more gratitude you give, the more you receive. And I really feel like we've come even stronger together with this pandemic. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. And it's given me a fresh perspective on how that I need to reach my team even more after we go back to some
Yeah.
sort of, in person.
Well, I love so much that you talked about just now. So let me unpack a few things or
Sorry.
reiterate that. No, 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 no. I think it's good. Is that the gratitude perspective that has blossomed, that was already innate inside of you and your heart and your system and your culture, is I'm hearing you articulate that you too have even been surprised and warmed by it. The second thing is I've been preaching that to all of my clients, that the holes in your culture have been exposed during the pandemic and now the new crisis. Um, the It's what you do with them. You either freeze as a leader or you find a way to bring your team in. And it sounds like you really have done a phenomenal job in bringing the team in. And then figuring out, what are we going to move forward with? Because the old way is literally the old way. We should not return to many of the things that we were doing before, or what we thought was true. And that's a shift from the mind. And again, the last now 2 weeks with George Floyd, what it is that you thought that you knew to be true is no longer true. And the new reality needs to set in. And we need to change that perspective. And that's what I'm hearing that you guys have figured this out. You've discovered that, and you're bringing that in anew. I was going to ask you some of the wins, but you articulated some of the wins. I will throw in, because of another person that I had interviewed. She actually does, and you may find this intriguing, she does STEM adventures. It was in person. She's in either Massachusetts, I think she's in Massachusetts, but it was an in-person adventure for kids and adults team retreats
Hmm.
around STEM. But now they've brought all of that online because of what you just said. How do we celebrate our team? How do we do team bonding? And they've come up with all of these crazy, wicked, amazing things to celebrate, reward, and to have different type of team building that you may want to look at until you guys are together again. I just
I
wanted to
will check that out. That
throw
sounds
that.
right up my alley.
Yeah, I was like, what? How do I sign up? Where do I go? What do I, it was just kind of cool. But at any rate, what is some advice that you can give other executives that are maybe stuck, frozen, not sure what to do, how to get started around infusing their culture, figuring out what's working, gratitude, what have you?
Well, the first thing is with gratitude, it's very easy. I always coach people, just pick one person that week to share in gratitude, but being specific in the
Mm,
gratitude. It's not just, I'm grateful for you. It's, I'm grateful that you stayed late to finish this project today. It really, the client was very happy, and now we're probably going to get some more work. So, really giving all the details of why you're grateful for somebody, and just do that once a week to start. And then you'll see how it comes back to you. And that's just what I've witnessed, is that the more you give, the more you receive. And I said that earlier, but it's so true. And I'm just witnessing it even more now. Um, and I think it's that simple. Start small. Don't think you have to change everything in your organization. The other thing that I really think is important is surveying your team members. And say you're not allowed to survey the whole company, survey your immediate team. You can use SurveyMonkey, it's free. Ask them, how you could do better. What do they need? What are their biggest challenges that they're facing right now?
I love that. So many people overcomplicate the weighing in survey piece, to your point, and you're right. Just go to SurveyMonkey. There's so many tools and resources out there. My go-to is Predictive Index. They've got a great, but I used to use SurveyMonkey too. So the point is, do something, right,
Yep.
in order to do
Start
that.
small.
And
Yes.
I love the start small. Absolutely. Are there any final thoughts, tips? Are your books near you that you could go grab and give people a
Well,
visual to show them up?
well, one of them, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
And
so funny.
one,
I reference Culture Infusion all the time. Gratitude Infusion is actually available for pre-order. It launches July 1st. So yeah, it's a blue cover. So yeah,
okay. And where can they get copies of this book? What's the best website, or is it just go on Amazon?
go on Amazon.
All right. Beautiful.
Yeah, just search Culture Infusion, Gratitude Infusion, or Kerry Wekelo, and both books will come up.
Awesome. And for those of you who are listening instead of watching and seeing Kerry's name, her last name is spelled Wekelo, and it's Kerry with a Y. So KerryWekelo. Kerry, any final thoughts, tips, resources before we put a wrap on today's episode?
I'd say, each day try to find something that you're grateful for, not only for you personally, but somebody in your life.
Love it. Kerry, thank you for all you do. Thank you for the team and all that, obviously, your shared leadership style and all of the awards that you and your team have won. So we thank you for that. So that wraps up another episode of the Culture Hour today. My name is Shelley Smith. Thank you so much for Kerry Wekelo coming on as a guest today and representing workplace culture in its finest, living and breathing it. And clearly, Kerry and her team understand the need to define, to build, to market, and to maintain workplace culture. Remember, culture isn't built in a day, it's built every day. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great day. Don't forget to share, tag, ask questions, send in comments.